Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled racist Karen sees me wearing a traditional Indian dress inside the HOA neighborhood. She freaks out and claims these clothes are illegal and offensive and against the HOA bylaws. She calls the police on me and claims I'm a terrorist. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. I came across a Karen in real life that seemed to fit all of the boxes except the ones where it came to her looks. She was entitled, she was my neighbor, she was part of the HOA, and she was even racist. Anyway, I heard a lot about Karens becoming part of HOA boards so they could do anything they wanted and such. What I never thought about was that somebody was going to be unlucky enough to live next to the Karen while she was on her power trip. And sadly, I happened to be that person in the story and really wish that I wasn't. Me and Karen had a history that went back even before she was on the HOA board and none of it was good. Now for context on me, I am an Indian woman and love to express my culture. Where I live though is almost exclusively white, but 99% of people don't seem to care and just mind their own business. Karen, though, tends to make a lot of backhanded comments about me right to my face. She says things like my spicy food should be illegal, and she swears she can smell it from her house and it is awful. We once got into a fight because I don't put up Christmas decorations since it is not my religion and I have different holidays. She went on a rant about how I was part of the war against Christmas and I had to if I wanted to be a real American. Now that was all before she got onto the HOA and the stories are not nearly as interesting as this one. For those of you that don't know, Indian women sometimes wear a traditional dress called a saree, which is, by the way, very beautiful in real life. Either way, you can look it up if you want to, but just note that it is a modest kind of clothing because that will come up in a minute. Anyway, I was outside getting ready to go shopping when Karen just happened to pop out of her house and started running after me before I could get into the car. Karen, what do you think you're doing? Me, I'm going to the store. Please get out of my way. Karen, you cannot be out in public dressed like that. Me, what pray tell is wrong with my outfit? I was mad and not in the mood to just let her crap go that day. Karen, as you are aware, we have certain dress codes in our bylaws to make sure that people dress to fit the neighborhood. Me, I have read the bylaws actually and it says nothing about wearing a saree. It says that people cannot leave their house exposing themselves. I am completely covered. Karen, well, if you read the latest version, you could see that we also have rules against offensive clothing. I knew about this actually, and the reason was kids were buying shirts that were graphic and had bad language on them. While I personally would not want to see those shirts, I don't approve of the HOA trying to stop kids from just being kids. The nudity one I am totally behind though, because nobody wants to walk outside and be met in the face by their neighbor just naked. My saree has no writing on it, so I had no idea what she was talking about saying that I was wearing anything offensive. I did not answer and instead Karen decided to explain what she meant. Karen, you are dressing up like a terrorist and now kids are going to be scared and running to their parents. Some might even think it's okay to grow up and make bombs and things to destroy our country. I bet you're going out and trying to recruit our youth. Out of everything she had said, this one was the one that went too far and shocked me. I was adamant that I was not gonna change my clothing for her and her ignorant small mind. So she did the only thing a Karen has in her arsenal and actually called the police on me for what I was wearing. On the phone she said that her neighbor was wearing clothing that made her feel threatened for her life and was worried that I would do something. Honestly, I wish I could have punched her in the face, but I don't believe in acts of violence unless I am in a life or death situation. I was tempted to just go to the store, but I waited instead for the police to arrive and Karen to turn on the waterworks about what a horrible person I was. She told the police that I was a terrorist and when asked what she had to back that up, she just pointed out that I was wearing a saree. The police were not happy about that and found that of course she had no other basis to go off of. She was still insisting that I be arrested for violating the HOA dress code against offensive wear. They just said that 1, she was not allowed to monitor what people wore, and number 2, they don't arrest people for violating the HOA rules. Finally, they turned to me and asked if everything was handled and they could leave. I remembered something though and got a wicked grin on my face. Me, actually officer, I have noticed lately some very odd smells and fumes coming from her basement window. I am worried they might be toxic and dangerous to all of the neighbors. I had forgotten about that and brushed it under the rug of me not caring and liking to mind my own business. Since she wanted to start with me though, I was gonna give it right back to her. Now, I assumed she was just doing weird laundry chemicals because I couldn't think what else it could be. However, it turned out that Karen had a dark side after all and was about to get busted for it. Apparently her husband and her were using their basement as a lab to make meth. Karen was furious and screaming that she had rights as they arrested her and took her away from her property. I don't know the details of what happened, but I knew that at least for a while she was allowed to come back to her house. Of course, the lab was taken apart and evidence and drugs taken by the police. The HOA president could not ignore the fact that one of his board members got in trouble for something this serious. She, of course, was removed from the HOA board and now had no money and pretty much no power anymore. I find it sweet revenge as she was trying to paint me as some evil person while she was making and selling drugs. Parents warned kids to stay away from her and she became the outcast that she had been trying to make me for years. She had a taste of her own medicine and I really hoped that it was bitter going down. I would think that at her age she would know that people who look and dress differently are not a threat, they are just different. If she ends up in jail, I know that her entitled attitude won't fly for 1 minute with other prisoners or the staff. And as far as her being racist, she's gonna get a bit of a wake-up call when she sees the inside of a prison. It turns out other neighbors heard what she had done to me and felt really bad. I think they wanted to show me that not all white suburban women are like Karen. They wanted to learn more about my culture and I was happy to invite them into my home and answer all of the questions that I had. Education is the best way instead of just assuming somebody is bad or evil based on things like wearing a sari. I decided to go back to wearing them more often and for a while I was the talk of the neighborhood in an amazing way since none of them liked Karen either. Revenge can be pretty awesome sometimes. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I really hope that Karen in this case went to jail for her own stupidity and for being such an awful neighbor. Some people simply don't deserve any better. I hope that OP now got a nicer neighborhood experience with this Karen being out of the picture. Either way, if you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like the video because that would help me a lot. The next one is titled Big Revenge. So it all started on Sunday, May 26th. I was flying back home from Texas where I was at my girlfriend's sister's wedding. We had a layover in Vegas before our 1-hour flight back to Sacramento. I land in Vegas and I get reception. That's when my roommates call me and tell me how the door to our backyard gate was busted open and my beautiful husky wolf mix was missing. That dog is everything to me. She is 3 years old now and I've had her since she was 2 months old. She's been with me through all my breakup, my layoffs and my evictions. She was my only friend when all my other friends believed the rumors my ex said about me. Anyways, she is gone and I get home to start doing the usual, putting up flyers offering a reward and notifying every shelter vet and her chip company of her disappearance. I put notices on every lost and found page and suddenly it starts to go viral on Facebook. A lot of people really wanted to help me find my dog and I had eyes everywhere. I wake up one day to a Craigslist ad with a picture of an unknown girl hugging my dog with the ad titled "Found Husky," sent to me by a friend of mine, so I contact the ad maker. The lady was nice and explained how she didn't find my dog, but a friend of hers on Instagram found her. She watched her post pictures on Instagram and brag about how the universe brought me this beautiful dog. She sent me screenshots of her Instagram and all the pictures she posted of my dog. She then tells me, I don't know her personally, but she is a fellow escort. It turns out the girl who has my dog is an escort. So she messaged the girl to tell her that she found the owner of the dog and she full deletes all posts about my dog and blocks the ad maker. So I think alright, this is viral, game on. I get all the people who have been searching, including my detective aunt, and we make a hunt. I file a police report and they are down to bust the chick, but I have to find where she is and holding my dog for them to do anything. Which is pretty useless, by the way. I get people to start contacting one another. We found her legal name, all the addresses she is tied with, including her boyfriend, mom's stepdad, possibly dad, and stepmom's info. We even found 2 warrants for her arrest and she was charged with petty theft, hit and run involving property damage, lying to a peace officer, and possession of contraband. After I found that info, including her being an escort, which is illegal where I am from, we had her. I dug up all her info, including emails and phone numbers with her escort phone number. So I call this woman to confront her, and she starts yelling at me about how I am harassing and threatening her. This is the first time I've ever talked to the woman, by the way, and how she was gonna press charges on me. She then said she brought my dog to a shelter. She also told me which shelter, and 2 days prior I confirmed that was not true. Meanwhile, I am gathering all the proof I have that this dog is mine, which is 3 years of timestamped photos with me and the dog, and the chip information that my dog is registered with her and her being in my name with the chip company. She is told this and still refuses to give her back by saying, "I'm afraid to give the dog back because the owner is threatening me." Which, by the way, I never did and have proof of that, so now she's on blast on Facebook, Instagram and Reddit as well. I will provide with more edits later. Update, so I'm not sure what more I can really do. The court fees to even try and get this woman is gonna break my bank, and I already spent over $1,000 trying to find my dog. Then even trying to find and serve her with the court may not work because the cops will only try 3 times before they say, "Well, you're on your own," and then I would have to hire a private investigator. I'm not sure what to do besides blast her so damn hard that this ends up on every news station and radio station in the Sacramento region. Update, oh boy, check this out. The girl that stole my dog was with another girl when they found my dog, and boy does the plot thicken. They are both escorts, so the girl that stole my dog, let's call her Blonde Thief, and the girl she was with, we will call her Red-Haired Thief. Blonde Thief left for San Francisco to work. She came back home early to find Red-Haired Thief was sleeping with Blonde-Haired Thief's boyfriend, and it gets even better. Red-Haired Thief beat Blonde-Haired Thief's ass, which involved the cops and a public police report. Boyfriend was taken to jail for domestic violence, and so did the Red-Haired Thief. Now that is public record, I looked up the incident. Sadly, there was no house address when I looked it up. I will keep you updated. And now the final update. The red-haired thief contacted me and told me the blonde-haired thief took my dog to her dad's house, so I went detective and I looked up who her dad is. I got his legal name, Facebook and phone number, and I get a car with a beefy friend of mine and drive 1 hour to Valley Springs to where her dad lives. We pull up to the property and there is my dog running up to the fence to greet me. I open the gate and she tackles me. So I put her in the car and call the cops. They arrive and do their damnedest to get him to answer the door, but the police chalk it up to him not being home. They take my statement and I explain everything down to each fine detail, including the escort in question having a record. They said they will be catching him and I will be pressing charges for animal endangerment and grand theft. She will also be adding a 3rd warrant on her record. So glad it's over. And my dog is so happy to see me again every day. The next day I get a message from my friend. Turns out the thief sent her a message on Instagram about contacting the police over me harassing her. My friend then commented, "You do realize the owner came to your dad's house and took her dog back while the police watched it happen, right? She told the police she is pressing charges on you and they are coming for you. Enjoy jail." And the thief flipped. She started threatening my friend and saying she's gonna fight her before calling her a slur for gay people. Like, in all seriousness, hasn't she had her ass beat up enough this week? And the next one is titled Karen Dress Code. So this happened this morning between 9 and 10 AM. I went to the supermarket to grab a few things for lunch and dinner. It's early and slow, so the store only had the self-checkout and one register open. As I got to the register, I see a young woman, early 20s, with a sleeping baby in her arms and a basket with formula, diapers, over-the-counter baby items for diaper rash, and several prescriptions that were paid for at the pharmacy. The girl gets to the register before me, and then I saw the rampaging Karen come out of the aisle right in front of me. I knew there'd be trouble from the oversized sunglasses, Karen haircut, yoga pants 3 sizes smaller than they should have been, that I'll bet had never seen the inside of a gym or yoga studio, and the very low-cut top that showed off a lot of skin that no one I knew wanted to see. She has maybe a dozen items in her cart. With the global situation, the clerk, the 20-something and I are wearing the required mask, but of course Karen cannot be bothered. The store has markings on the floor for social distancing, but of course that does not apply to the wild Karen. The young mother is holding the sleeping baby and trying to fish her wallet out of her small purse while also holding the diaper bag and usual baby accessories. The cashier had not even finished ringing the girl up when the wild Karen started in a loud voice complaining about unprepared shoppers not even having their money ready. Karen's cart is almost touching the 20-something's leg. Naturally, Karen's complaint at full volume had the unfortunate effect of waking the sleeping infant, who registered his displeasure by letting anyone within hearing distance know. The mother was attempting to calm the infant and still get her wallet out of her purse. The fact that Karen had to wait and now had to listen to the infant she woke up caused another nasty tirade. I'm in line behind Karen at this point, and then she gets on my last nerve. She has been breathing, the cashier wore not being fast enough, and then God only knows what lack of brain cells caused her to do this, but she snaps at the young mother that she should make that brat be quiet and then decide to attack the girl, snapping that if she didn't dress like a SLUT, she would not have gotten knocked up, since it was obvious that her jeans were too tight, as was her top. For Christ's sake, she had a baby a couple of months before, the young mother was beet red, the cashier was in shock, and the infant, not liking the noise, was letting it be known that he wasn't happy. And Karen had gotten on my last nerve, and being old, sick, and in a bad mood and with worse temper, I let loose. I slipped up past Karen and tossed my card to the cashier and told her the young lady's bill is on me. That got Karen to start again, only for me to loudly say, "Shut up, as I am tired of your mouth as the little man is." That stunned Karen, who only sputters. The young mother thanked me and gave the infant her full attention. Ken is fuming and starts heaving her items onto the belt, but apparently her mouth recovered before her brain. As soon as the cashier finished ringing her up and asked for payment, Karen turned towards me and sneered, "Well, aren't you gonna pay for mine as well?" I was done with her and responded, "No, I don't like people who wake up sleeping infants with their big mouth." She huffed and stormed out. I was hoping for an, "I demand to speak to the manager," but you cannot have everything. I headed to my car and was pulling out of the parking lot when I saw the young mother sitting at the bus stop holding the infant. Buses out where I live run every hour, so I decided to offer her a ride. It turns out she lived only a couple of miles away, under 5 minutes by car, but a couple of hours on foot carrying a baby and supplies. She took the risk that I was an ex-murderer since I snapped Karen's tirade. I learned that she and her husband were new to the area, moved in for this job. I asked her about the little man and learned that as her husband got paid, they bought more of the stuff the baby needed, but right now they were making do with what they had. I wrote an address down and told her that if her husband was off Saturday, she should have him bring them to the address for a yard sale with tons of baby stuff my niece was getting rid of, as she had all the babies she's having and she has everything an infant could need. She told me that she'd do that and thanked me again for everything. I dropped them off and made it home and gave my niece a call describing the girl and infant and telling her to give the couple anything they liked and I cover whatever they couldn't afford. I like babies and I have no tolerance for Karens. And how dare anyone be in front of her or not dress according to your standards? You are nuts. And yeah, ripe stars, if you have recently ever dealt with a Karen, especially in retail, then please let us know in the comments and share your story on YouTube or on r/ripe stories on Reddit, which is our own subreddit where you can post a story and there's a good chance that I will read it in a video. Thank you so much. The next one is titled, "My neighbor wanted to get me out of the building and now owes our landlord money." My boyfriend and I moved to another city because we want to study there and I'm already working there. My boyfriend still works in our hometown, so he is less at home than I am. The apartment we moved in was perfect. It was an absolute dream. If there wasn't our neighbor. We will call her Kristen. At first, Kristen was really friendly. She made my boyfriend and the boyfriend of my mom coffee when they were renovating our apartment, always asked how we were, if we needed something, etc. We were so happy that we had this perfect apartment and such a nice lady who lived underneath us. But I was wrong. So wrong. Kristen had more things to complain about and I did more things according to my revenge, but this story is already long enough, so I won't tell you everything. When my boyfriend and I really moved into the flat, it took her about a week when she first came to talk to us. Or better to say, she wanted to talk to me. Kristen complained that I was walking too loud. Not my boyfriend, not me and him, not our guests, just me. Kristen does not have a really nice way to say things, so she said something like, "You must walk less. You should wear special shoes. I have some of my own because I don't want to bother my neighbors. You should try it too." She also said, "You should hear you. It's like an elephant who runs around. You should get carpets. I have them everywhere in my flat. You should do it too." And a sentence I am hearing literally every single time, "Don't you want to be a nice neighbor?" She said that she already spent a lot of money on her apartment and she wants to live there in peace without a teenager to disturb her. She is in her 70s and doesn't have a family or a job. If she was not she, I would pity her. Of course I wanted to be a nice neighbor and we wanted some carpets anyway, so we told her that and that we wanted to get something to eat, so she had to leave. 2 weeks after our first talk, she came again. She told me that because of me, her heart monitor had to be regulated twice as often as before, and that because of me, she got a tinnitus. A tinnitus because I was walking too loud. Also, she couldn't sleep because of me and she got depression. When I wouldn't do anything, she would have to commit herself to the psychiatric. My boyfriend asked her why she thinks that it can only be me, and she told us that she pays attention to when we come and go. She always knows when I am home. Also, when you pass her door in the staircase, you hear steps, so every time someone is in the staircase, she watches and wants to know who it is. My friends one time wanted to visit me and Kristen opened her door and wanted to know why they are there and what we would do. My best friend is pretty pissed because of her, so she said, "Maybe a little bongo session or we will listen to the new album of a heavy metal band. But maybe we will try step dance too." Kristen almost got a little heart attack. My boyfriend bought himself a new motorcycle and left it behind the building. Kristen told him that I should have asked her if it was okay. And by the way, she is not our landlord. He has the right to park his motorcycle there, and why the F should I ask her? She also said that we have to talk again. Oh boy. So on the same day she came to us and now she demanded that we should throw away our laminate and have to lay carpet. She is really sorry with my boyfriend because he is such a sweet angel, but he would have known that living with someone like me and my weight, and yes, she said that by the way, I am weighing like 60 kilograms and she told us that she weighs about 150 kilograms and that she doesn't bother her neighbors, but I do. I could not say a word or I would have exploded. I wanted to punch her right in her face, but my sweet angel boyfriend told her that we had something to do and sadly she has to go. At this point I already didn't feel at home when I was at home. I sneaked through the rooms and every time my boyfriend was a little louder, I asked him not to do that because I would be in trouble. I already looked for other apartments, but now I was furious. I talked to a friend of us who was in the team of our landlord, that is why we got the flat, and told her everything about Kristen. She told me that Kristen wanted a friend to move into our apartment, but obviously that did not happen, and now Kristen wanted us to get out of the building so her friend could move in there. I planned my revenge. Kristen asked me to have our laundry done until 6 p.m. In our contract with our landlord it says that we have to be quiet at 10 p.m, so we started washing our clothes until 10 p.m. I asked my other neighbors and magically only Kristen feels upset. At the second it turned 10, we were still. No loud television, no music, no washing machine. Kristen rang our bell a few times a day, but we didn't answer. I started to park my bicycle next to the motorcycle of my friend and told my friends to do it also. And because Kristen likes the rules so much. That's why I also told my friend in the landlord team that her flower pots are outside of her balcony, and in the contract it says that they have to be inside or else someone maybe could get hurt if they fall down. Also, you can just smoke on your balcony if your neighbors don't feel bothered by it. Well, surprisingly, I thought about it and came to the decision that I didn't like it, so I told my landlord, and now Kristen has to go outside of the building for her hourly smoke. This was already enough that she went to our landlord. She told them that she was completely innocent. She spoke like 3 words to us and said that we were harassing her. We wanted to bully this poor old lady out of her apartment so that our friends who we party with like every day could move in. She wanted us to be moved out of the building. My landlord friend listened to her whole story and then told her that I already spoke to her, but that my story was a little bit different. She told her that everything I did was completely alright, and because Kristen told our other neighbors how awful I was, told lies about me and tried to bully me, she was the one with a problem. Because of many factors I even could sue her, but that wouldn't be worth it because it would be more work than everything else. If she had a problem, she would have to move. Sadly, she didn't, but since a week I didn't hear anything from her anymore. Also, because I told them about her flower pots and one really fell down on the sideway, an employee of our landlord came to take a look because of safety. When she asked him into her apartment, he saw what she had done to it and that she did a mess of things that she wasn't allowed to. I don't know what exactly she did, but she has to remove it and owes the company now more money.